Benjamin Smith was on Fox News last week, and it made national news. Ex-Navy SEAL, government provoking vets to bring on martial law. And he joins us right now. He, of course, was up there with the World War II vets and others for veterans' rights and against having the memorials that are open air and don't have security at them being purposely closed. We've had park officials say they were told to do that to, quote, make people as miserable as possible. That's an Associated Press headline. And he joins us to go over some of the things that are happening and going on. He's a veteran of quite a few different tours. U.S. Navy 2000, 2005, a SEAL 2001, served in Iraq, South America, and the Horn of Africa, I guess Somalia and around there. And now he works or has been working as a private security company in Iraq since 2006. So I'd love to get him on sometime just to talk about what those experiences were like. But I wanted to get him on so he wouldn't just have a few minutes like Fox, to spend 20 minutes with us and really break down what he saw at the memorials, the intel he's got from elected officials and others about the plan to try to get vets into some type of conflict with the federal government, and how he thinks we can try to avert the bad situation this country has gotten into. So Benjamin Smith, thank you for coming on with us.
Hey, yeah, man, it's good to be on. Yeah, ex-Navy SEAL, like if you hear ex, that usually means you've been kicked out. I'm former, but, you know.
That's right, former. You didn't get kicked out. Sure, yeah.
So I'm a veteran. Oh, man. It's this is such a topic that is talked about within the movement, people who understand military and strategy and tactics. There's, you know, most people, the conversation you hear amongst people you see speaking at rallies, at functions, even political people, elected officials, the conversation, it's kind of the conversation where you look over each shoulder and you start having the talk because you feel really uncomfortable having it, that in your country, a logical conversation is now being had and has been for a bit, but you don't see it on any of the news things where the government might be trying to get you into a position that is the most painful for us, you know, like downturn of economies and all of trying to get us, to provoke us to do something either violent or stupid. There's always low-hanging fruit. You have them on the left, you have them on the right, and they're trying to get those people to start doing something stupid. And, you know, at that point, they can shut us down. And, you know, whenever anyone says martial law, that kind of is buzzword for, say, lefty politicians or a lot of people who aren't aware of anything, to just start saying conspiracy theorists. These guys are nuts, windbag, crazy, fringe, violent, you know, like all those things. And then if you do your research and you look at what they've said and, you know, just get down to the facts, instead of sounding rebellious and you just have the logical conversation, you can logically go about pointing to things and say, yeah, that's what they're trying to do. It's obvious. And the conversation topics at that memorial was, you know, most veterans see this in conversations I have with, you know, people with a spec op background, not going to go into specifics on who, but within the communities, you can see it. And it's a logical conversation, not as in the topic of like, you know, we need to rebel and violence. No, that's not it. It's very much a logical, here's what we see, here's why, here's what they've said, here's what's happened, here's who's it affected, and, you know, here's the outcome. And just in the pure analysis, a logical analysis of things that have been happening over the past, you know, you got 5 years because you've got Obama in office now. But if you trace it back, you can look all the way back to, you know, Russia and all like, you know, the the Cold War, like things like that. There's a lot of logical streams to whereas things are starting to come to a head now. And if we're uneducated and don't have the wherewithal to do our research, to read, to look at history and how it repeats itself, we are subject to losing everything. Absolutely. And, it could be another 1,200 years before anything that would resemble freedom, individual sovereignty would ever surface again. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I absolutely hear what you're saying. And again, veteran Navy SEAL Benjamin Smith is our guest. We should probably contact the folks with Biz Pacer Review because they do say ex-Navy SEAL, but most people, unless you've been in the military, just think that means former. But veteran Navy SEAL joins us. And talk about, if you can, your colleagues, other veterans of the armed services. I know what I see. I know family I have that are in the military. I know what I get from Stuart Rhodes, the head of Oath Keepers, and countless other contacts I have. FBI agents, former Secret Service agents, current, people like Dan Bongino. He says about half the enlisted he talks to are awake. About 60, 70%, 80% of special warfare people. I was down at a San Antonio open carry rally this weekend, and there were San Antonio cops there in plain clothes with their guns, and there were Army PSYOPs people there saying almost everybody's awake, and they said a year ago it was less than 50%. So I'm seeing a massive awakening to criminal elements across the board in government that are trying to convert our republic over to a banana-style situation. So tell us from your colleagues, the folks you were there at the rallies, what you're witnessing and what the numbers are you're seeing, Benjamin.
Well, going back to the beginning of this administration, I've had friends within the community talking about how they were brought in and, questioned with people from, more towards the top side. And the questioning resulted in kind of where it was pointing was, do you feel comfortable disarming American citizens? And you can see that now with the shedding of a lot of the officers and stuff like that. It's we don't have the 100% track on it, but there's a lot of funny things happening within military.
Now that's bombshell, but I want to quantify that. I have Secret Service, FBI sources on record on the air, but also covert sources that are currently in. They say exactly that for 2 years. There is a litmus test where officers from the generals down to lieutenant generals, down to majors, down to sergeant, master sergeants, will you fire on U.S. citizens? And if you say no, you're sent to the worst hellhole or basically kicked out. If you say yes, you're put into special Homeland Security units. Quantify, you're saying people in the community, special warfare community, are saying they have been brought into litmus test meetings.
Yeah. And at this moment in this conversation, it's, God, to bring it back to Van Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. You remember him when he said you have to, for us to have the argument or to just have the conversation logically, and what he was saying with the communists and the lefties and everything that Van Jones is, it's you drop the radical pose for the radical ends. And just to translate that into what this is, I understand a lot of libertarian, Ron Paul, a lot of people that are your listeners, get fervent and very strong about it. And it's not about, being the person that's the loudest right there, having that logical conversation to where someone else can reply and you can go back with facts. And it's a logical conversation that needs to be had. And it's starting to, I couldn't believe he actually, that Hemmer actually asked me on air about, it was kind of a surprise that he asked me. You think that the government's trying to declare martial law. I'm sitting there going oh, geez, is this an ambush? If I answer this wrong, this is, everything goes down the drain and I'm a kook. But the thing is, Sheila Jackson Lee, you always have somebody, if you've even got the tightest plan, there's always somebody who gives up the jig or says something that's more right to the point than anything else.
Well, that's right. The rhetoric from the authoritarian left, because they're not really liberals. Thomas Jefferson was a liberal. I see myself as a real liberal, more freedom. These people are not liberals, and that's all they talk about is how they want to round up the Tea Party. I mean, that's in Forbes and the Washington Times, and then she gives a speech and talks about political martial law. Well, that's the first order of martial law is political before it becomes physical, and Obama says he may have to do stuff without Congress, and NATO is over our military. I'm just backing you up. Benjamin Smith joining us, veteran, Navy SEAL, just all over the Middle East and Africa, you name it, joining us here. And he's really the tip of the spear. He's willing to openly say what most people I talk to have told me privately about their concern. But let's expand on this then. Studying warfare, studying psychological warfare, using truth, the ultimate weapon in that, having our gold, having the moral high ground, our gold for liberty. What do you think we should do then? I mean, I agree. It takes different folks. Some people get angry. Some people are more logical, reaching out. But what do we do to shake people out of their trance? What do we do to let people know that the new Army training manual, and I'll put it on screen, that Judicial Watch got 2 months ago says George Washington wouldn't be welcome in today's Army. Well, George Washington founded the Army. Go ahead. What do we do?
Well, you've got manuals, and it's just to go to that point really quick. You've got in the military, what is it? West Point. They have Peliger, who now there's a teaching doctrine where they're actually talking about moderate right-wing conservatives as, the military may have to actually, quell American people. And that's what they're teaching the future leaders of the military. But what needs to happen is the military people who are having these conversations need to start stepping into the public sphere, the political sphere. Like now, the percentage of people who are in government is from the military is about like 15 to 20%, and possibly even less. When, around Vietnam, after and before, it was over 75%.
Well, that's a great point. We need veterans in the government, not lawyers.
Yes, and the lawyers, I don't want to like declare war on lawyers. We absolutely need them.
Sure, but the government types, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
It's the people need to understand that the veterans, at least in boot camp, have gone through and eaten dirt, have had to get over their petty differences, race, orientation, whatever it may be that you have wrong with the person that's next to you. You've got to fulfill a mission. You've got something that you have to do, or you're all going to pay the man because of the screw up that you're doing. And it's all about like unity and understanding, getting past your differences. The military folk have to start reaching out to normal citizens and having that logical conversation of, instead of just being, because I remember when I came back, I was, I would be a little short with people that like, you don't get it. And it's like, it was hard to kind of get into the conversation. Like, how do you see this? This is how I see it. This is what I have seen. This is what I've read. This is how history has gone. It's kind of obvious. And then after talking with them and hearing what they have to say, it starts the back and forth, and they start going like, oh, this guy isn't like some pipe-hitting, monkey that runs around with no brain. There's thought there. And you know what? There's a leadership that is in a lot of the military people, so that understanding that these people are trying to do the best, and they're a little angry that a lot of people don't get it. It's military people need to start really stepping up and having the conversation as if you're sitting around a fireside chat, and the truth needs to come out. As uncomfortable as it is, it has to be logically approached.
And we have to also realize that if you turn on any movie or almost any cartoon, it demonizes patriotic militia types. It demonizes libertarians. It demonizes people for 20 years that think a new world order is coming, a corporate global governance. They were preemptively brainwashing folks so that when the real threat came in, we wouldn't recognize it. We've got to get past caring what they say about us, because that is a psyop. And I believe, and I know from the evidence, we are on the march. The public is waking up. That's why they do want to get some type of insurrection going, because we're politically starting to really wake people up. Take how MSNBC pushes racial division all day and says if you don't support Obamacare, that's a total ripoff, you're racist. Again, they're trying to divide and conquer. So the answer is come together around the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the family, private property, the Second Amendment, free speech. I think that's the big solution. What else do you think is a solution?
Well, they're promoting the reluctant anti-hero. You know, you see like in movies and all that kind of stuff, you know, and then they go right back to being a sack of poop. It's kind of like how you live your life. You have to live your life like you want to be remembered. And it's just try to do the right thing at all times. You know, we're all going to mess up. Our side needs to circle the wagons around the people that it feels are worth it, instead of if you do one thing wrong, you're not us. You're giving us a bad name and they banish you.
Exactly.
There's a mindset that you have to live by. I'm always going to do the best for the people who believe of what America is. Founding logic. Those people, George Washington, Jefferson, Adams, all those guys, they lived through revolution, war on their lands, and their families were killed. Everything was pillaged. It was more of a civil war than a revolution. You know, it was amongst ourselves for the direction of a country.
And it was a battle of perseverance, too. It was who could go the longest.
Yeah, and it always boils down to, you know, usually two options: good, bad, good, evil. Pull the trigger, don't pull the trigger. Life, death, eat, starve. You know what I mean? Like, you want to bring it down to what's going on here, not 15 different options.
Sure, free or slave, and we know the direction we're going, slavery. Let me ask you this in the time we have. We're going to give your website out. It's benjaminsmith.us.com, benjaminsmith.us.com. If radio listeners want to go check that out, TV listeners can see it in the time we have. Get into you know, what you were saying on Fox, but any other points you want to make about them trying to obviously make people mad, not letting them into the memorials, using more police than they would have there normally to keep them shut. I mean, that is clearly, what do you think they were wanting to do? What do you think Obama and his controllers were looking for?
Oh, wait a second. This is from that day. People have videos, and I know your people will jump all over it trying to research it. There was some people coming over to me and saying there were three cops, at least three, saying that they were being funded. This is Metro Police. I don't know if this is absolute crap, but the thing was, I was listening to the people who just came from listening to them say it. Three cops actually admitted that IMF was funding them being cops that day because IMF was doing something in D.C. I mean, research it, stuff like that.
Oh, but yeah. I had my reporters arrested at the G20 for just filming in a park, and it was paid for and run by G20 security for the G20. You're saying the IMF, we've got to look into this, that's big, was actually, well, that's who runs the whole thing. That's who's taking us over is foreign banks.
I figured you'd like chewing on that. I'd love to hear the results and what turns up on that.
Let me shift gears real quick, and I'd love to, anytime you come through Texas, get you in studio or get you on Skype and say any other final points you've got, or if you can stay, that's fine. I heard you had to go. Let me ask you about this. And again, a veteran Navy SEAL joins us, Benjamin Smith, right now. This article, it's been on Fox News, too. Washington Times, families suspect SEAL Team 6 crash was inside job on worst day in Afghanistan. I was told that by a Navy SEAL in SEAL Team 3, not in SEAL Team 6, who had a friend in SEAL Team 6 weeks after the crash, and I'm on record the first person to ever say it. I know that's hard to talk about, but do you have anything to say on that subject?
Not at this time. I mean, you know, how the memorial and stuff went down in Afghanistan with an imam praying over our dead SEALs is my main issue with that. But past that, I'm not going to touch that.
Sure. Any other points you think are important to make about the state of where this country is right now?
Yeah, it lies within ourselves. It's the possibility of our government not being on our side, ideologically stating so in, if the president says, you judge me by who I put around me. Okay, look at that. Now look at us. Are they what we believe or not? So, you have to have that conversation, start talking to people you don't know or people who disagree with you, and try to have the logical conversation. They will eventually start to see that you're intelligent and you're not a kook. Just do your research and be just in a conversation. Try not to be angry.
I agree. What are you doing in your life right now?
Well, you said I've been over in Iraq and stuff since 06. No, I haven't been over there since 06.
Okay. That was just in the bio they sent over, yeah.
Yeah. But right now I'm doing a lot of public speaking, trying to get the message out. I mean, I believe in what America is, and I've given everything I have to this movement and to what I believe.
I'm Darren McBreen, and these are some of the new items that are available now at InfoWarsShop.com.
Alert the public to Obama's blatant abuse of power with the new Obama t-shirt. Obama's Joker face on the front and come and take it on the back. It's time to publicly call him out for what he is, a tyrant. Defend the Second Amendment with our top seller Come and Take It t-shirts. And look at that, women's cut tank tops and t-shirts now available. Nice hat. Plus the Don't Tread on Me flag. And now you can become a micro distributor of the InfoWars magazine. Plus, get your own copy delivered right to your door each and every month. And if you're tired like I am of you and your family being exposed to polluted drinking water, get the Pro One high performance water filter. It gets rid of all pathogenic bacteria, cyst, fluoride, heavy metals, and numerous other contaminants.
So join the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
All right, a few more minutes with Benjamin Smith, veteran Navy SEAL, and then 1 year of contracting until 2006. And now he's very active trying to rally Americans to realize it's not hard. Our Bill of Rights and Constitution is being dismantled. And then the Republican leadership joined with the Democrats to go after Ted Cruz and Rand Paul and others who were pointing out that Obamacare is a total fraud. And then now it doesn't work, and Obama says it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, you were really saying some powerful stuff during the breaks. So, Benjamin, I mean, tell folks, lead folks. Tell folks what you're trying to do, because I was asking you, what do you think we should do? And you were making some really great points during the break. So finish up with some comments.
Yeah, well, with everything that we've gained our freedom from through the revolution back in the 1700s, it wasn't individual sovereignty. It wasn't the freedom which we all talk about now that got us the freedom that we have and that we're kind of wasting away. It was unity. It was discipline. It was people working together and sacrificing for each other. It was the battlefield of ideas. It was, that unity between you and the person next to you. And the thing is, they started to, as we need to do now, come together in business. We need to start monetizing what we do, because everybody out there on the speaking circuit, or if anybody's standing, they're being attacked by IRS. And in the IRS now, a lot of us are considered. I'm a propagandist. If
that's
right. Communist rhetoric. But a lot of working together, doing things, and sacrificing for each other, and giving, and then giving again to each other. That has to start happening, and it turns into a groundswell. I mean, it's not going to be as well said as I said during the break, but to the broader picture, like when we're talking about martial law, martial law suspends the Constitution of the United States. What would our government want to do? And I know this goes over to a lot of your people as well. If they suspend the Constitution, martial law happens for 5 minutes, or whatever the NDAA made martial law and posse comitatus, would that allow, immediately that would allow UN to come into the United States and whatever entity that doesn't like us. You know, it's an open door. And Sheila Jackson Lee calls for it openly on the House floor, which is absolutely insane. You know,
well, these people are dangerous, and I agree with you. We're all under attack. I think the number one thing people have to get to their heads that are libertarian, veterans, conservatives, just people that love freedom, people that just love the American system compared to communism and fascism, people who don't want to be slaves. We're in a war. We're under attack, and denying it gives the enemy the total advantage. We have to admit we're under attack, and every man, woman, and child has to pick little goals and complete them. And just resisting this in the info war, resisting it monetarily, resisting it by supporting patriots, resisting it by saying no to tyrants, we will bring them down.
It's a cold civil war is what's going on. You know, there's no violence yet, and it's for the direction of a country. We have to find what we agree upon. Everyone's so used to pointing at something and bitching about it, but they don't know to go to it. You run to the sound of those shots being fired, and you do right, you do good. To the end of your being, you do what is right. You know, find what you agree with somebody on, not emphasize what you don't. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's fallible. Everybody's got things wrong with them. Find what binds you together, not what separates you.
I agree. I mean, I really, after 18 years on air and 20 years fighting for liberty, and just in the last year, people that have attacked me, done wrong to me, it doesn't matter. I've just forgiven them and ignored it and not spent time, trying to, hurt them or anything, because I realize unity is the key. The globalists are coming down on us. We've got to get together and focus on that issue.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But continuing, I mean, other points, because let me ask you this question. I am striving to get people awake so that the global crime syndicate, the operatives, they can look at things and tell they're not going to win if they launch a false flag and try to blame us, or provocateur or something, or bring in Al-Qaeda people they're protecting, whatever happens to try to distract us. But what happens if they do start trying to take guns? What do we do if they do start, not just audit people that are in the Tea Party or audit veterans that speak out and persecute us? What if they start trying to round people up and say we're terrorists? What happens at that point?
Well, this is like one of my other things. Like, in conversation, look at the Second Amendment. It says a well-regulated militia, and that doesn't mean controlled by government. That just means well-trained. That means, they could shoot, move, and communicate together. And, in working together with other citizens who believe the same thing, a militia is just the last bastion of what an American has, as per the Bill of Rights. You guys at least get to join together and stand against, or at least, if you draw the line in the sand, you shall go no further, you shall not pass. That right there is that's the last bastion, and you're starting to see all that stuff pop up, and conversation there needs to be had as well. It's not a bad word.
Well, the good news is, and just to quantify it, and then we're going to let you go, because I know you've got a meeting you've got to go to here. What about the numbers? I mean, you were telling me off air that, even the political speakers there were talking about how they want to cause a crisis and get veterans to do something violent. When you're talking to folks that are currently still in the special warfare community, you were saying that they're being brought in and given the litmus test. We've confirmed this is going on. Will you take the guns? But what about just general folks that are recently out, like yourself, in the last 5, 6, 7 years? My number is over 70% now understand just how much trouble we're in. But it is hard to believe this is really happening. But it's happened everywhere else. Why are we surprised? So what's the number? I mean, is there a huge awakening you're seeing?
I think there's a lot of people waking up. There's a lot of fear, and the fear, either people can wake up or they're gonna do something stupid, kind of like, the one that flies off the handle, the knee-jerk reaction. That's what they're looking for, because the free market has basically been destroyed. Look at healthcare. That's the government owning close to 20% of it,
and they're wrecking it.
And it's meant to fail. It's meant to fail. And the thing is, it kills our economy if we just let it, people say, stand on its own merit. That's 20% of our economy, which is operating at a absolute subpar performance with how much debt we have, and our credit levels are going low. It's like, this is not going to work. The people who wrote it said it's not going to work. It's
systematic sabotage. Admit we're under economic attack. We're under attack. This is a globalist war, period.
Yes. Yes. Look at how we got Russia.
Shut down their economy.
Yes.
Exactly.
You think we actually won the Cold War?
Give us your take on that.
Oh, okay. Well, look, the Cold War, you've got a socialist, a self-avowed communist, and all them around him in the White House. If you're playing chess, that's the king, the head of our country, is of the political bend of our adversaries in the Cold War. That, to me, says a lot of things that don't say we won.
That's right. They've captured most of the federal government, but they haven't captured the military. The military's waking up. They're trying to capture the states. I think we just politically call them out and get really aggressive, and I think that is what will basically sap them of any moral authority. They want Cloward and Piven to bankrupt us, to blow out our engine. What do we do then to get it going when they control the economy?
Yeah. And there's a bunch of other stuff. I mean, I got to get running, but talking about the Cloward and Piven, and from Clinton to Obama, that's an interesting jump. We can talk about that some other time.
Sure. Folks can go to benjaminsmith.us.com and find out about your upcoming speaking engagements, or how do folks get you to come out and speak to their group?
Yeah, go there. I've got, and we'll have it up there on how to get in touch and whatever we're doing. All
right, well, great job. And again, you're not going to save the world. I'm not going to save the world. But all of us together recognizing this, taking action, working together, unity around liberty, we're going to win. Amazing interview, Benjamin Smith. Thank you for your courage after all your service to come back in the middle of the republic and its greatest threat in history, and to be standing against the threats and the audits and the authoritarianism of these communists. God bless you, sir. It was great having you on.
Yep. You don't unsign your oath. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you very much. All right, there you go. Tell him thank you, guys, because we're in the middle of a segment here. There goes our guest. We're going to get him back on in the near future via Skype. You can hear him there, I think, in a car, having to go into another meeting. You can hear it dinging in the background when somebody got out of the car. Just he's there fighting, and I'm fighting, and I'm learning how to fight these people as I go. I always use the truth, but you don't know how to present the truth or what angle to hit at. And I'm just a work in progress, 20 years fighting for basic American principles, basic common law principles, 18 years on air, and I have wrecked so many globalist operations with my listeners, and I'm just one guy. There are so many people out there that are better looking than I am, smarter than I am, tougher than I am, more motivated than I am, with less problems than I have. I probably got too much of a temper a lot of the time, too much energy sometimes, but at least I'm trying as hard as I can. And I'm telling you, you need to stop. Every time I talk to one of these Navy SEALs or some Delta Force person or some FBI guy, they're always they're good guys, so humble, they don't even see themselves as leaders. And so they're just humbly trying to do little things here and there. And that's all good. But before this turns into a shooting war, folks, we've got to shake people out of their doldrums. We've got to get them out of their trance and get really, really aggressive. And he's absolutely right. A lot of people hear this information, either get really scared or they want to go out and get aggressive overnight and have some physical fight with some compartmentalized threat fusion center, down the road where the people don't even know what's going on half the time. Or because Army PSYOPs is being used domestically against us. People think, well, I'll just go, after an Army PSYOPs group. Those people are probably our biggest group of listeners because they're sitting in the middle of it. They know they're compartmentalized. They know their mission's unconstitutional. They know that the globalists have captured the White House. They know that we're into this situation. They know that we're in deep trouble. And so they're all sitting around going, what do we do? Well, I'll tell you what you do. If it's printing up bumper stickers for a website you put up that's got just 10 facts about the New World Order and then 10 ways to fight back, and then you stick those up in your area, or you start a little newsletter that's one sheet once a week that you out at 4 a.m. go and stick in everybody's mailbox, that'll do something. Or you go do an Access TV show, or you start calling into talk radio, or you go out and stand on the street with a sign, or you start your own blog radio show online, or do your own YouTube channel, or go to public events and grab the politician by the arm and say, we don't like the New World Order takeover. We know what's going on. We know America's been captured. Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, groups like that, they have been caught funding the anti-gun groups, funding the Agenda 21. We've done reports on it. Point that out. That, hey, this is a big deal that we've got some of these big banks and groups. And I'm not even saying everybody that works at those banks are terrorist or evil or bad. I mean, those are the biggest things in the economy. It's the people running them. We have to call out the... They tried to put Larry Summers in as the head of the Federal Reserve when he engineered the current system we're in. That's literally like trying to have Satan, oversee his trial before God. I mean, it's like having Hitler at the Nuremberg trial as the judge, as the Chief Justice. We have to see that we're being overwhelmed by tyranny right now and recognize it and get past the fear. And they want you to know that they'll try to audit you. They'll want you to know that, you'll be put on a list. You're already on a list. They're already shutting the country down. We have no chance here, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't stand up and get involved now. We have absolutely no future. They want to break us fully. And it is going to take people like Benjamin Smith, who is getting active and getting aggressive and going out and speaking out, and all of you have to be leaders. And I agree with what he's saying. People that are veterans especially, and who aren't cowards, and who understand we're in a military attack here. We are under an economic and now political and then soon physical attack. And that's why I want to like the police. I want them to be honorable, but they're in a command structure more and more that is authoritarian. And authoritarianism is not liberty. Tyranny is not liberty. Oppression is not liberty. The globalists have done all these horrible things worldwide in our name through all these different PSYOP frauds. Now they're going to do it here. And they are not going to stop, folks. They're going to carry out a Soviet-style Sovietization like they did in Eastern Europe. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I mean, I'm up here risking my life, folks, because I'm not going to run to some other country where they're putting the same thing in there. I can't run. And that's why so many times people talk to me, they go, man, you're scaring people, you're helping the enemy. And I don't really think that's true. I really don't think that's true. I mean, if that's true, then I'm really a fool. And I don't think I'm a fool. I think I want to be told there's a robber trying to break in my garage by the neighbor calling me. I don't want the neighbor to go, that was kind of scary, I didn't call you. Let the guy home invade my house. I mean, the person's already trying to break in my house. I want to know. I don't want to hide under the bed and just imagine that it's not going on. So I see people, yeah, they get scared hearing all this. You should be scared of not getting aggressive and active. You should be scared that you're not involved. You should be scared because you're just giving these people free rein. And so don't go off half-cocked and go shoot up a threat fusion center. Don't go off half-cocked and you get pulled over, even if the cop's being arrogant and aggressive and out of control and wants to search you illegally and wrongfully, and shoot them. What you do is you try to talk to them, educate them. They do you wrong. You personally sue them. You petition the courts. You do shows about them. You start filming the police, showing them they're wrong, pushing them that way as far as you can until they try to come arrest leaders of the liberty movement. Then you know, folks. Then you know they're coming. There won't be communications at that time. You'll know. And then it's your job not to just sit in your house and wait for folks to come drag you out of it, as Alexander Solzhenitsyn. So we're doing everything we can as the biggest favor ever to the police and military that are currently serving. And the biggest favor to ourselves and everybody else here to just not do this. Because this is real, folks, okay? Just admit I was right about it all. Just admit all our experts were right. Admit we're in trouble. Okay, well, we got to get out of this. The solution begins the minute people admit we're in deep trouble. We're going to come back with some final calls here and some other news, but stay with us. You're living history right now, and there is a foreign banking takeover that wants communism for us and their tax-exempt offshore. They are trying to totally destroy the country.
Now you can watch Alex Jones live at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
You can also browse the network, the InfoWars Nightly News,
and over 60 movies and documentaries all together in one place.
You can watch the Alex Jones radio show live as it happens.
So check it out, Infowars.com/show.